Yo, hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. How are you all doing?
Good, my friend. Everything good. Thank you for asking. And you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Looking forward to this
Nice, Marco.
aiming.
Hey, Mark, do you make the collab contract on hand? Am I right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a dev in any way whatsoever, but with when the hackathon was on in May, basically like we formed a group of, I think it was 5 of us all together, like 3 devs and 2 artists, and yeah, we were working on it for the last few months and finished it in September and got it out there in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, nice, man. I use it this. Yo, hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you doing?
Everything fine. And you?
I'm okay.
Nice.
Let's see if Rob can join. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I'm gonna mute.
Well, I'm glad you use it, man. Like, I hope that loads of people use it and spread around and collab and do all sorts of crazy things with it.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful tool. Very good tool. I will send to you on DM the work.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, man.
Mm. He's coming. It's just he has a really weird Discord name and I can't find him. How are you? How have you been? How are you all? Okay. Mm. Um, here you are, Rob.
Oh, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Well,
Good
good afternoon
morning.
to you.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon. How are things? Long time no speak.
Yeah, no, things have been good. Just like everybody else, just working pretty much, 24/7, all waking
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, I know. It's crazy. But good. Crazy good.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Um, I maybe we can start. I mean, I don't need, no, you don't need any like intros, but maybe you can just say like a quick, hello, and then we can just jump into the questions and like for all of the artists to ask anything that they like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll just do a quick intro. Yeah, this is Robness. I've been in the crypto art space since 2016, really, but crypto since 2014. But basically, I've seen like the genesis of like tokenization on the blockchain with artwork and just that whole abstraction and thought process involved with that, and been watching all the changes ever since. So yeah, feel free to ask me any crazy questions you want. I'll try to answer as best I can, and if I can hopefully impart some good information out to y'all, and yeah, that'll be good.
Nice. Does anybody want to kick it off? Any question is good, to be honest. Like this is a good time to ask. I have some questions if people want me to start off, but I'll let you guys go for it. Okay, I'll start and then we'll see how it goes. I would love for you to talk about how did trash art start and that whole movement.
Yeah, so when I was starting Super Rare, you guys can hear me, right? Just making sure everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so when I got allowed into Super Rare, couple things kind of happened actually. Like my buddy and I, Max Osiris, we were kind of known as like artists that were like maybe making too much, like quote unquote, on the platform. So, but we just were really excited. Those two specific years, from 2019, 2020, during that time, we were just really super excited about what was going on, and we just kind of knew that this was going to be, something big. And I guess, through that overexcitement, we kind of just we couldn't stop making pieces, So we were releasing a lot more frequent than most of the artists there. I think the other artist that was also pretty prolific was Miss Al Simpson. She's made a lot of pieces too, but we were making a lot of work. But my particular work, I was using an app called Photomosh, and in the glitch world, I used to hang out on the Reddit forums, the glitch art forums, vaporwave forums, and stuff. And to be honest, like that app is kind of well known throughout those communities. Sometimes it's just a tool that we use on the side or whatever. But people started finding out that I was using that, and for some reason, it's kind of funny. It's like when you like the art and then you find out the method and then you get pissed off about the method as simple as it was. And for me, I kind of grew out of that a long time ago. Someone can make a simple piece of artwork, and if it's astounding to me, it's astounding nonetheless. So when people found out I was using Photomosh for some of my art pieces, they got really mad about it, and some of my contemporaries as well. And there was one notable individual. I'm going to say it right now, just because it's the truth. I mean, he even claims he started trash art now, which is kind of funny. But Jimmy with the J1MMY, he's made that project Ava Stars. He's known as the NFT guy in the space. He's famous for the Bored Apes too, like for buying those things. But anyways, he was pretty much one of the most like outspoken individuals, and like he started calling all the artwork trash. This is garbage. We shouldn't be having this type of material allowed on Super Rare or NFTs for that matter. There should be better NFTs. And here I am. I'm just like kind of like laughing about it. I'm like, oh my God, like this is like worse than the old art world. Like this is like totally like noob territory. So for me, I was kind of like in the beginning, I was kind of upset a little bit. I was like, wait, these are like my own people, and they're like ragging on my shit. And Max and I used to talk all the time, and we used to kind of laugh about it, like, man, these guys just really don't know. And so that happened with that, and then there was some other artists too that made comments and so forth. And like honestly, like I was on a run one day, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? This kind of sounds like what happened in art history's past. So So I just took that trash moniker and I just pretty much stamped it. And I said, if you can't make a trash GIF within like 5 minutes, it's not real trash art, you know? So for me, I basically took that negativity and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to wear it like a badge. So after that happened, I started making more pieces on Super Rare in that style and like really flagrant, you know, and kind of just cranked it to 11. And so, and they really didn't like that. But so, you know, after a while, I started making pieces that were like obscured trash cans. I was like, screw this, I'm really gonna trash this gallery, screw it. So I'd take an actual trash picture from Google and I'd run it through PhotoMosh and obscure the shit out of it, and you know, use PhotoMosh to glitch the hell out of it, and I started releasing those and just putting the title as the actual trash can model. And at first, I think Super Rare John liked the art piece, and I'm not sure if he knew what was going on, but the final piece was the 64 gallon toter piece, which was like the final stamp, and like it was kind of like a blatant like piece made, and they didn't like that. I got removed from the platform. They thought I was breaking terms and regulations because they thought I grabbed it from a Home Depot website, which is another funny part of the story, you know, which kind of hits at the root of the whole Creative Commons Zero kind of thing, you know. So after that, you know, there was an article written on Cointelegraph, and it was basically talking about the whole situation that took place. And then there were some other artists in the space, like Second Realm and Jay Delay, and a lot of other really just artists that I really, you know, really respect in the space, and they kind of took off with it, and they just, you know, they of course everyone has their own interpretations of what it is, but yeah, they ran off with it, started making trash can remixes, and then from that point on, it turned into what for me it was more like rage art. You know, I was just trying to get some feelings out in the beginning. I was like, you know what, screw this, and I got totally, you know, disillusioned, and like I'm like, trash this place. Here's a trash can, whatever. But after that, you know, it kind of morphed into other things, and so there's a lot of different interpretations of what it is. For me, I mean, the core thing is, you know, artistic freedom and being able to express yourself on a blockchain, where you know this technology was able to circumvent, you know, banking structures. So for me, circumventing copyright and corporate structures, you know, and legalese and all that stuff was right in line with it. So I definitely had some thought processes behind it. You know, it wasn't just a real simple like Cro-Magnon release kind of, but but yeah, those are the kind of events that took place, and then ever since then, it just kind of grew and grew and grew, and kind of turned into a meme in a sense. So yeah.
Um, what do you think about the whole idea of CCO and copyright? So like, you know, I've had like this discussion pretty much all day yesterday. And it's it's interesting because it's like sometimes people are like, yeah, but what if somebody takes what you're doing and like duplicates it and does exactly the same? And it's like, well, you know, we live in a free market, like that can happen and it's okay. But I know that like a lot of people don't think like that, and they want to, you know, the whole idea, I mean, for me, the whole idea of copyright is just governed by money and like capitalism, and the people who are able to enforce the copyright laws are the ones that have the money to be able to do so. And so I don't agree with it, but I would love to hear your thoughts and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
you approach it as well.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because I mean technically it's new ground. This whole way of thinking, it's definitely a risk, you know, because most of us, you know, have been living in a world where, you know, there's copyright law, and there's a certain program of doing things, and this and that, and for me, like, it's more of it's not a philosophy, but it's like I'm kind of trying to keep in line with how the Bitcoin network was built. You know, I mean, like when Satoshi dropped the white paper, and you know, he put it out open source. You know, he or she or the group or whoever was involved they obviously wanted this code to be duplicated, or else they would have made it closed source, right? So so in that line of thinking, for me, I'm like, well, what if we can do this with art? Like, what would the world be like if individuals just gave up that notion of having to put everything in a copyright world? What would that look like? And for me, it's pretty simple. It's just expanding ideas and letting people free to run off with whatever you came up with, but potentially building that world in a sense too. So, and a perfect example is that trash can thing. So like trash art for me, I don't have any control over that. For me, I'm just like anybody wants to run off with it and do whatever they want, they can. And it's a risk. It's a big risk because what if they taint the artwork or whatever, right? But for me, it's like I think that's the big challenge is can people still like be okay with that? It's like no matter what, it's like for example, like the Matt Fury thing, like the Pepe the Frog. I mean that's the first use case, really. The first like kind of proof in the pudding of like where this thing can go. It can go into bad places, it can go into good places, and it's kind of an omniscient meme. So for me, like looking at that context, I'm like, okay, what what is the better route to take? I'm like, there's no way Matt Fury could have controlled. He couldn't have controlled like how his meme went anywhere. It's just no matter how many lawyers he got, it was just like the internet just kept spewing it out in different directions. And so, meanwhile, he's trying to fight, some people like in the alt right using his symbol. Meanwhile, there's people in Hong Kong using it for a symbol of peace. So for me, it's like I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, so no matter what you do, your artwork could be used in any, shape or form. And I feel like at that given time, I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what? The amount of time I would spend to literally be lawyers, like have a team of lawyers and chasing people around to get some form of copyright and compensation, I can actually be using as a creative outlet and perhaps maybe creating more. So I think in a sense, like copyright is almost like it's like you're not confident with yourself to be making more material that will engage with people. It's like almost like an insurance policy on your own career. It's like, okay, well, I know I'm not going to make anything good after this, so I need this copyright law to keep me sustained. So it's kind of weird. Like that's the way I look at it. And it might sound kind of crazy, but I feel it's just like I'd rather spend more time focusing on creating more things than running backwards and trying to get people from taking my old stuff. So which has happened in this space too. Like I've had people, I've had artists on Hicketdunk like copy mint my artwork, and the people from Hicketdunk hit me up. They're like, "Hey, what do you want us to do with this?" I'm like, "I don't care. I hope they make money. Like, I don't care. I just it's beyond me to even like go investigate that. And so there are artists in the space now that are really taking off with the Creative Commons Zero, and actually collectors too, which is cool. Like I'm actually happy to see that, and it's just another way to look at things too. And I'm not saying everybody has to do this or anything, and but it's an experiment of what is possible. Why not give it a shot? And for me, I figure I might as well be one of the first ones to kind of jump off the cliff and see what is possible with just letting your artwork out be free. And so far so good. I mean, I don't have any claim on the trash art thing. I just let it do its thing, and there's people that are building stuff on their own with it, and expressing themselves with it, and they vibe with it, whatever it means to them, and so far it's been awesome to see. So I think there's more to gain by keeping your artwork out and free than keeping it really super closed. Because who knows? Like maybe your artwork becomes a meme, and it's all of a sudden you see your artwork turned into like 1,000 remixes. It's like it's wonderful to see. So yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Everything you just said. There's Mr. Ritchie who asks, well, I'd love to hear more about being banned from Super Rare, which we covered. I think. Are you still banned, Rob?
Oh yeah. It's still de-whitelisted. I can go in and handle the bids and stuff. Like I can do everything on Super Rare besides mint. So
Okay.
as far as managing my portfolio, like I can totally do that. But yeah, I just can't mint anymore.
But you still get all of the secondary royalties and everything when your pieces get resold, right?
Yeah, that still comes in, thank God.
But Mr. Ritchie also asks about FOMA Mag, and to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, okay. So FOMA, that was bred just out of, you know, a group of people that we just well, it was like kind of in the beginning, we started seeing like how, collectors were starting to build like narratives of like kind of picking winners and, winners and losers in a sense. And my past history, people know I've quarreled with whales before, I've disagreed with them and this and that. And so out of that, I figured I was like, well, let's just make this like underground kind of zine, and we, I'll handle the curation and start scouting artists and stuff like that. And the past four issues, really, it was just me like finding like the diamonds in the rough and just putting them out there and just what everybody has their own curatorial perspective on like what crypto art is. And so for me, I figured that there might be another pocket to just kind of like fill. And so we started putting this stuff out, and people were really digging it. But since like myself and the rest of the individuals that are involved with making this mag, like we sometimes it's really ragtag. So there's not like, when we feel like we want to put on an issue, we'll do it. And this time around, we really feel like we needed to put something out with just all the crazy noise going on, and like even this like divide I'm seeing now with like NFTs and crypto art. Like now there's like this schism happening. So for me, I just like, you know what? If we do like a huge like 500 artist issue and just put it out like a fat like Vogue magazine style, and I just go and just find all the sleeper hits out there, and just people really making a go and contributing some really awesome work to the space. It's time to go find them. And so that literally like the past 2 or 3 weeks, it's been 24/7. I've been like dropping engagements here and there. Like I'm forgetting like who I'm supposed to talk with or whatever during the week. It's kind of funny, but yeah. So I'm like currently like surfing out. I think I have about maybe 50 more, 75 more artists I got a list. Still taking submissions for sure. But yeah, like but the magazine is more of like a reaction to like some collectors trying to say this is what's valuable, and this is also valuable. And so it's more like an underground zine, but it seems like we're getting a pretty good reception thus far, and actually can't wait to release this issue. It's going to be huge, man. So yeah, it should be coming out like maybe early January or mid January. That's what we're shooting for. And so yeah, but we've been having fun doing it, but it's more so like a service to the entire like community of like true crypto art, like really people just really pushing it. So
Amazing. So if there's anybody interested in putting in applications, what should they do? They need to post on your Twitter, right? The thread?
yeah. If you go to my Twitter account, there should be a couple posts. Anything that says FOMA, just drop it in there, and I'll see. Yeah. And any FOMA post, like just drop it in there. I think I made like a post maybe a couple days ago, so you might have to scroll down a little bit.
I just posted,
But
I
you,
think. Yeah.
yeah,
I think I
but
saw
you
that.
know what? Since we're in like a closed room, like you can totally like anybody in here, you can just DM me and just drop your art piece. Like I'm cool with that. Like yeah, just go ahead and do that. I
Nice.
actually I actually I actually look at still like most of my you're not the official DMs, like the non-official DMs. I still go in there and look at stuff. So please do. Yeah.
Awesome. We have a question from Pop Art by Beba, which says, do you think trash art allows for the exploration of the fluid nature of truth by defending different definitions of art against more traditional ones? After all, we could say that it's a matter of perspective and that each artist gives birth to their vision out of their very own context.
That's an awesome question. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because for me, it's like a part of me is kind of like I'm kind of a meme nerd. I mean, that's where I started. I started with the Rare Pepes. That's the whole reason. Like for me, I was really enthralled in the possibility of preserving memes. It's just weird, the part of my like weird art, persona. But yeah, memes are interesting to me because they take on that kind of like persona in a sense, that they can transform and transmutate all that, uh, and for me, the trash can itself, it definitely like from the very beginnings, it meant like to push boundaries, artistic freedom, skirting all the nonsense we've had from before. So um, whatever derivative of that comes out, which is what I've been seeing, it's been fantastic to see. And even so, even if it's like a wrong opinion, I still don't care. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there are some I've seen I'm like, okay, well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but if it's stemming from a form of like artistic truth of free like artistic freedom, I'm so like with that, And I was making a joke this morning about someone posted like a trash can piece of the like one on a canvas and put it in their living room. I reposted it on my profile, but it kind of hit me because I was thinking about this weird concept of like futurism, like in the future, like what if we don't have like a house that has like a wastebasket? Like what if we become like really efficient to where we don't actually have trash cans anymore? Like what if that completely goes away? And like I was making a joke like, oh yeah, this is the future living room of like 2075. So maybe like in another perspective, like what if the trash cans are just like a perspective of like making artwork of an item that does not exist in the future, So it's like in memoriam, like like those, what the heck are those things? Oh, we used to call them trash cans back in the day, like 100 years ago. So I don't know, just funny different perceptions, but totally vibe with the question for sure.
We also have another question from before, which is a bit different, but asks, what are your thoughts in regards to on-chain curation and its ability to stifle artistic expressions through gatekeeping and censorship?
Was it on chain, you said?
Yeah.
Um,
Some of like these protocols, I think, that have like that kind of like on-chain curation ability. I think like, you can basically record on the blockchain like what you want to curate essentially.
oh, okay, I got you. Well, there is one project that I was kind of a part of in the beginning. It was a pixel chain, where you could actually you make like 32 by 32 like bit art, and all of that data was written on the blockchain itself. So you can actually pull up the data on the website, and then it'll reform the image. So the data is written in there. As far as like forced curation, I'm not sure really. I'm not sure really. I'm too familiar with that. But there is, like for example, like Jimmy, like I was speaking of earlier, Jimmy is like a big proponent of like on-chain. Everything has to be on-chain for it to be legitimate, and I actually, it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, like the pixel chain thing, I thought that was great. Like as far as an experiment, to have like the data written in the chain itself. But I come from a little bit more old school mentality. Like myself and there's another gentleman, Theo Goodman, and he's from like the Rare Pepe group. But like we've always agreed that like putting everything on chain is not necessarily the best route. From the most part, because that's why we have like all these high gas fees, because we already have so much data getting written in the chain at the same time, usually coming from financial transactions and traders and so forth, and they bloat the chain and they block things up, and so if in the future we want to put everything on the chain, like uh, you know terabytes of videos and stuff, I don't see that really as like a I don't know. I just don't see that as the path to go. I just look at the blockchain as like a proof of record, a proof of like an event. Trying to stick entire files onto it. I just don't see that as a viable future. Like, because for me, like I always look at things to break. So for me, like when Jimmy says like everything needs to be on chain, I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna make an art piece that's literally 5 terabytes huge just to do it, and there probably won't be any like visual on it. It's just gonna be a huge file. You know what I mean? Like here I am breaking the chain. So I like how there are some projects that like write like small amounts of data into it, and then you can pull artwork out. But as far as on chain, like everything, not really not really down with that, to be honest. I think, well, put it this way, Jimmy was wrong about trash art, and I think he's going to be wrong about on-chain. So it's like, I'm looking at his track record, I'm like, well, he thought that was not going to go anywhere. Now it's like, now he has to admit it, and he's kind of like taking credit for it now, which I think is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think the bigger this stuff gets, I think the on-chain argument is slowly kind of like dissipating out. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, shoot, I mean, even some of these bigger platforms are not even, they're just pretending it doesn't even exist anymore. It's kind of crazy, but yeah.
There's a few more questions. I see some people typing. But also, if anybody wants to unmute and ask questions, feel free.
Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Pierre. I have a question about the difference between the Ethereum blockchain and the Tezos blockchain. And there's this question that is always on my mind. Why are the prices tend to be much lower on the Tezos blockchain versus Ethereum? And my question is, artists, it's very difficult to envision to sustain yourself as an artist and to live from your art only on the Tezos blockchain. And eventually you have to move to Ethereum for just financial reasons. What are your thoughts about the differences between the two blockchains? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you, Pierre. Actually, I've thought a lot about this too, because I've dabbled in both sides, and I think it's collector confidence really, and I think Tesla's is starting to I mean some of the prices of the art pieces, I'm like, all right, that's great, it's getting a little bit higher. So there's a couple artists that have been leading the charge, John Carell and some others, and I've been watching it for sure. And so what I think it is the primarily like the huge collector base on Ethereum that that whole market has established. It took about 2 years for that market to establish itself. So the market confidence is like there for buying pieces larger than $100,000 or something. The confidence of the artwork remaining is there. I'm not saying like Tezos is going to disappear or anything, but as ridiculous as that sounds, there's some collectors who really think that, which I think is like completely like ridiculous. And I've been here longer than they have. So when I see that, like they're so lazy to move over the chain to make possibly like to stake new ground in art collection. It kind of makes me laugh. So it's really just like the Ethereum collectors like kind of like waking up to the fact that like yes, like take the risk and go over to Tezos and start really grabbing some historic pieces from there, because Hicketnunk and Object and a lot of these other platforms that might sprout out, I mean, they're not going anywhere. Like we just saw Rarible just take on Tezos, like that's huge. So I mean, for me, like I kind of champion all the like the Tezos artists, because like for me, like sometimes the whales piss me off because it's like sometimes their thinking is like so obtuse, and so I'm like, well, check this out, guys. Like Rarible just picked up Tezos. You want to keep saying how Tezos is not going to do anything? So Tezos keeps growing, and I think what it is just whales or like just collectors. I hate saying whales. Like collectors finally just giving up the ghost and saying, you know what? I'm going to give a shot on some of these other artists out here because this is like fantastic work. And once, I mean, you have to have a couple people that are kind of mavericks in the space do that. Like there's been a couple collectors a couple years ago that took risks. Like when I got kicked out of Super Rare and my Max Osiris got kicked out of Super Rare, we had to find places to go to mint. So like Rarible was our only option, and like I was still on known origin, but like I felt bad because Max was still kind of out there. So I was like, okay, we'll mint together on Rarible, and it took a while for collectors to move over and say, you know what, let me just buy a couple pieces out here, because at the time Super Rare was considered like the only place to buy crypto art. Like that was the only safe investment in buying art. And here we are on the outskirts, and we're just making pieces like crazy. And lo and behold, we had some people like, Colborne Bell of Museum of Crypto Art. We had Moderat's Art. We had a bunch of other Maverick collectors, and they came over and they started buying pieces, and they started buying more of them, And so for us, that was like a win, because then we started seeing some other artists from Super Rare come over because they started seeing like our sales. And um, so when we started seeing like some other artists pop up and start making sales there, like I'd go to Max and be like, "Hey Max, like Frenetic Void just showed up, and like X Copy just showed up, and like all these other people." So really, it's just the collector base having to like finally go, "Oh, it's okay to go buy over there now." It's so ridiculous, but for the big purchases, it's a risk for them, which I get. But I mean, only the Maverick collectors really do those kind of things. So it's only a matter of time, really. So everybody that's invested their time in Hic et Nunc and stuff, I say keep going with it because me personally, as far as like quality of artwork output, I mean, Hic et Nunc takes the cake, but hands down. Like for me, I'm just like consistent great artwork getting put out, so you can't lose. So yeah, I think it's just more so like the huge Ethereum collector base just like slowly getting siphoned into the Tezos world. And another thing too is like allocating capital. Like um, like if you're like a huge collector, like allocating like a couple 100,000 to the Tezos blockchain, you're taking a financial risk in a sense because you're moving it to another asset, which could go up and down. So, for example, like, the Tezos price, it fluctuates. It definitely fluctuates a lot more violently than Ethereum does. So that's another risk that collectors have to take with getting pieces over there. So, um, I mean, that's more of a financial side, but I'm just giving you guys some truth because I collect that as well, and there are a couple of risks that you have to take, like doing big purchases and so forth. So, but I think once like the Tezos market cap and stuff gets stabilized, like once the price is really firm, like people will be like, okay, I can move over there without having like 75 or 35% of my holdings like getting chopped off. So there is that too. I'm not sure if that's viable information, but that's something that like I can see as a risk on their part. So not sure if that answers your question totally, but
It's perfect. That's a wonderful answer. Thank you so much, Rob.
oh, no problem. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, anybody have crazy questions? Just shoot them. I'll try to answer them. Like just go for it.
Anyone? I can kick off. I can ask one question actually. What do you
Sure.
think about the latest? Like, you've been around for a long time. We've seen now, especially like a lot of brands coming in. How do you think artists? I'm thinking, for example, like Coldy had the collab with like Snoop Dogg, and I'm sure there's gonna be like more and more happening. What do you think about that, and how do you see it from an artist perspective? Like, what happen? What if somebody, I don't know, whether it's like Prada or whatever, some of these like huge brands approach you, like what would be your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I'm kind of a hard head. I'm just like we have so many people that are a part of this community now that I just would rather see like I was kind of when I heard Artifact getting immediately sold to like Nike, I was like, ah man, like that was pretty quick. So I just by gauging that, that's gonna probably happen a lot more. I could see it already happen a lot more. But for me, I've always been a champion of like seeing uh like grassroots communities developing their own identities and becoming huge entities in themselves. So I think I'm not necessarily concerned about any like famous person or corporation coming in here and trying to like instill themselves in here, which they're doing. You can't stop that. Like that's just inevitable. But I constantly just put out there like, look, you guys can be bigger than these people. Like anybody that has an idea in the space, like you have depending on if you're here 6 months ago or 2 years ago, you guys now have like a techno like vocabulary of like what it takes to build something in this space. You know, there's a lot of different like nuances. You know, like for example, like Nicole, like you got, you know, the vertical crypto art community like in the Discord, like that's a facet of like the crypto world that's like really important. It's like developing these communities and so forth because it's really powerful. You know, just having that's what like a decentralized community kind of is. You know, there's all these people from around the world and providing a focal point and just like an energy source. You know, and so all those things combined, it's like I'm not sure how. You know, I feel like almost like Nike taking over Artifact or some other moves by these companies are like trying to like hire people that know how to permeate in the space. It's like there's no way for them to penetrate because they don't know how to do it, and so they got to find entities to be able to do that for them. And for me, that sounds like a survival mechanism to me. So it's like if you're this big corporation, it's like you don't want to have another Nike like take you out, you know. So it's like let's just buy them because it's like okay, they're the ones that can do the job better than us. And so that, for me, it's more like a survival play than anything. Um, and so which tells me that like anybody in the space can um, you know, if they got a great idea, you know, roll with it because you never know what you're going to look like in 10 years, you know. So for me, it's like I see a lot of people too that kind of like when they see like a big company come in, they like run after them and stuff. And for me, I'm like I don't think that's really necessarily the right way to do things. I think it's like you just stand your ground and like show that you have confidence in the space. I think it's probably better, um, and in developing your own kind of world in here. And so for me, I'm more resistant to it, and there's some people that don't like that, obviously. But I try to tell people all the time, it's like you guys have been here ever since they showed up, so you guys have more power than they do, and so use it to your advantage. You know, you have tons of tools in your tool set. So yeah, I'd love to see a bunch of unknowns just making it huge. You know, and so yeah, so for me, I don't necessarily care like about the corporations coming in. Like it is going to happen, but I just think there's a lot of people in the space right now who have way more power at their disposal. So
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was also pretty shocked about the artifact acquire from Nike.
yeah,
It was weird. I mean, like, I'm happy
really,
for them.
really quick. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like really quick, man.
yeah,
I was like, what the heck? And I think too, well, after that drop, they had some problems with like their license agreement or whatever, or what they, the it
yes.
was kind of weird. Yeah, and there was a big backlash to that, and I think it was one of those things where maybe perhaps the team was like, oh, we don't want to deal with this. Like, they're just going to give it to Nike or something. I don't know. It was just so fast. I've never seen anything that fast as far as an acquisition's concerned. So,
Yeah, I know. It was pretty wild. And also like all of the terms and conditions of the NFTs are now kind of like in the hands of Nike, right? So you can't use the IP. Obviously, you can't do like any derivatives. You can't fractionalize it. So it's like a lot of things are kind of against a little bit what like this space has been and is doing, which is kind of interesting. I don't know.
well, it's funny too, because actually, like, Vincent Van Gogh, the collector,
Yeah,
he, he's, he causes quite a stir on some things, but it's funny. He fractionalized one of those clones. He's,
we did.
yeah, he totally took one of them, and now he's okay. So he's challenging that by taking one of the clones and making like a fractionalization of it. And he's already built an entire market from that fractionalization. So basically, he's like sticking it to Nike right now, and like an artifact, and basically he's waiting for them to like have response, which they haven't done yet. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like
DMCA.
interesting. They're like, is it bad to go after Vincent Van Gogh or not? Like, see, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like these like weird power structures that are happening, and like, um, and he hasn't gotten a response yet. And I've been watching it, to be honest, because it fascinates me a little bit. But yeah, they haven't gone after him, and I think it's primarily because it's like I said, like there are people in the space that kind of wield more influential power than the corporate entities do, and that's what I'm trying to tell people is like it's like if you guys have like a good following in crypto Twitter and crypto art Twitter, it's like, pat yourself on the back. You did all the hard work, and there's like corporations that are trying to like figure out how to like get in here and say GM all the time. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like the whole Pepsi meme that came out, I was just laughing. It's like the Steve Buscemi meme, like hello kids, hello blockchain kids, like. And so, they're trying to find their way in, and so yeah, just don't doubt your power in the space, and own yourselves, and realize that you guys are doing all the hard work. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Oh, I will say one thing too. Like I'm trying to work on like it's kind of just on the DL right now, but like I'm trying to build like a crypto art platform on Polygon, and
Oh,
we're calling it superfair.co. And basically it's going to be a total like copy of Super Rare, in dark mode hopefully, and then we're going to use Polygon because it's cheap on gas fees, and then just make it open for everybody. So that's the goal. Like I'm talking to some developers right now, and believe me, I would love to see that happen, and just call that like an art piece in itself, like a platform as an art piece. And Yeah, so I'm just throwing that out there just in case, like if we do get this out, like y'all are more than welcome to put pieces on there. Like,
that's amazing.
yeah, yeah. So
That's just so you as well.
yeah, and it's funny. I think Super Rare would kind of laugh at that too. Like, oh man, look at that. So,
I think it's funny though, because
yeah,
I think like Super Rare, Zach and John, like they are very crypto art. Like, even like even though they banned you and blah blah, like I don't actually think their like ethos kind of like resonates with you. Like I don't actually think like they truly like believe in that banning and like the fact that you couldn't like have a trash can on Super Rare. Like I think it's more pressure from the outside kind of thing.
yeah. Like I'm the guy on horseback, like outside the castle walls, and I'm like waving at them, and they're like inside, and they're like waving back, but they know they can't like go beyond it. Like, it's, it's kind of funny because I mean, you see the jokes I throw all the time on Twitter and stuff, and then sometimes they respond. So I think they understand that, just like that it's just their thing. They got this huge monstrosity that's just rolling now, and they have to just kind of tend to that, which I understand. But maybe one day they'll let the toter back on. We'll see. I'll have to see.
Yeah, maybe that would be
Yeah.
like monumental.
Have to find the right buyer though. I don't know.
More than you burning the CryptoPunk,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was also pretty monumental. Um, are there any other questions?
Don't be shy either. If you got a
Yeah.
crazy question, just shoot it over. I'll answer it. Trust me. So, and no questions is all right too. Don't worry about it.
Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question. It wasn't actually about crypto. You said earlier on that that one of your thoughts came from when you were running. Like, do you often have like revelations when you're jogging or running or something?
Yeah, it's funny because the last couple months I've kind of fallen on the wayside, but like for some reason there's something about like running, like, and after getting that runner's high, like you get that like weird like gap in between where you start feeling like you could just keep going and going. But like there's something about beating up your body, and like your brain is just like it finally just gives up, and you have some sort of like clarity. And I guess that's the reason why I do like exercising, because sometimes I just think way too much, and you have to just like pound your body into submission to just finally just like subdue it. So, but yeah, like that day I was frustrated. I was like, you know what, man, I'm like, F this, man. I'm going out, and just kept going. I was just thinking about this and thinking about it, and I'm just like, man, like, wait a minute, this is a punk rock thing going on. And I was just thinking, I was like, I'm just gonna wear this like a badge. Like that's how it's always been. And you just start thinking about the past, and it's like those are the events that are necessary for you. Like for me now, it's like I don't look for trouble, but it's just like if I see some type of limitation in the art space, wherever it may be, it's like, okay, this is the perfect place to play. So, but that's just me. I mean, there's always different, ways to approach art. But for me, I always kind of like look for areas that look like there's some type of resistance going on, or some type of like weird rules being imposed, and it's like, okay, let's break this rule. Um, like for example, like the last case was max capacity. When he was doing the DOS punks thing. And we had he was using that program PlaySci, PLAYSCII. It's an app to like render your photos in a like a DOS style, alphanumerics and stuff. And so when he started making these things, I guess the guy who made that program got pissed off, right? And so all of a sudden, like he sends like some messages to Max, like you can't be doing this, and screw NFTs. Or actually he said like fuck NFTs, and like you go to his website and he takes the download links off, but the program was open source, right? And so I'm like laughing at this, like you made an open source program, and now you're going total like tyrant overlord, like nobody can use it now. And so that like immediately like clicked in my head. I'm like, okay, I gotta go talk to Max real quick. And I go, Max, do you have a copy of this play sign? And he's like, yeah. He's like, here, have it. And so then I made like a whole DOS trash derivative art series, and just went full tilt with it, just because like in support of like what Max was doing, because I thought what Max was doing with those DOS punks were just, I think it's one of the best punk derivatives ever, in my personal opinion. Yeah, I think it's better than the punks, really, but style-wise, everything. It's just, I think it embodies the 8-bit thing a lot more than the original ones do. But so for me, like that was an outlet. So sometimes I have to find that kind of outlet to like get excited, and then I can start pumping out pieces again like crazy, And so yeah. But as far as going back to the physical like workout stuff, yeah, like there's something to be said about just going out and just doing an exercise long enough to where you feel like you want to like fall face flat on the ground and like not think about anything, and then sometimes like out of that like some weird thought pops up in your head, like oh man, that could actually work, or some type of clarity. It's weird, I don't know, but it helps me.
Um, we have another question which says, now that Mikhail brought it up, I want to hear more about the CryptoPunk you burned, and maybe even your thoughts on funks.
Yeah, I'll start off with the funks. My I really was happy to see that they built a platform like just like the Larva Lab site, because that really, I mean, they really took a step forward. They showed that as long as you have the IPFS link, you can build your own market outside of OpenSea. So that was a big one. So for me, like that was a big like thumbs up for me, like going, hey, this is a nice contribution to the space. It just goes to show you that like you don't need OpenSea if you really know your programming chops, so you can get someone to help you out with it. And I think that might be a nice first step to starting to see more markets outside of the OpenSea closed gate kind of deal, because that's what it's getting to. They're starting to ban artworks and stuff, and listen, I mean, they are what they are, you know what I mean? And they're not even being shy about it. So they're like, they never really say the word decentralized anymore on their platform, So I think they finally realized like and own to what they are. But the CryptoFunks marketplace is like a great example of what is going to happen in the future. And I think every artist too will start having sites where they you have a Ethereum or Tezos connection, just like any type of like website development. I think every artist will have their own markets. They'll be able to have a place where they can like curate their own like marketplaces. Because for me, I kind of need one myself too, and so that's good. But as far as like burning the CryptoPunk, yeah, like all that stuff is kind of in line. But my kind of background to that is like I was basically like evaluating the CryptoPunk culture, and like what was it really, like was it the artwork or was it the price point? And so for me, that was an easy question to answer to myself. And so I go, well, if I wanted to make a statement on the CryptoPunks culture, like what would it be? Like what would be like literally like striking the heart of that culture to begin with, and it's the price. So what better way to say something than to just actually destroy one, you know? And so for me, like I mean I was definitely scared. Like I'm not gonna lie, like like the confirm button was like do I even want to do this, you know? And but for me, right when I started getting the the butterflies in my stomach about it, I'm like, okay, this is probably where I should go, you know. So I did the deed, I recorded the video and this and that, and then it spread like wildfire. To the point where I get different like really adverse responses. Like and there was one camp that would say, "You're fucking crazy. What the fuck are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And everyone, and the other side of it is going, "Oh my God, thank you, Lord, that you burned one of those, you know, bleep things, you know." And so there was adverse reactions on both sides. And for me, just from art history, man, the best art pieces are the ones that get reactions like that. So I'm not saying that is, but for me, I'm like, okay, well, I might be going in the right direction. Um, yeah, but after that happened, actually, what happened afterwards is actually, to me, it's more important than the actual burning of it, because um, there was like weird things that happened. Like I was on some like Twitter Spaces, and like some guy pointed me out. They're like, "Hey, this is the guy that burned the punk, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to be known as that, you know." But like, yeah, that was me. And then the guy goes, "Oh, we need to have a moment of silence for this punk." And like, I was kind of like secretly laughing about that. I'm like, this is where it's gotten. Like, this is how much these things are like revered, you know. And so for me, like, I really didn't consider that when I did it, but after the fact, I started realizing that like this, like it's funny how some people tie their allegiances to like price points and collecting things and stuff and so forth. And so seeing one destroyed is like sacrilegious in a sense. So some people say CryptoPunk is a cult and this and that, and in a sense it is. If you go to their Discord, like you can kind of see it. But yeah, I mean, I destroyed one of the coveted items in the temple of CryptoPunks, I guess. So, but there were a couple weird things after too, that happened. Like there was a project called Obits, and they do like these undead CryptoPunks, right? They're all skulls and zombies and so forth. And they based an entire project off of the burn punk, which I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is even happening. And they sold all of them out. And so there was like a whole derivative project that was based off of the burn punk. They made like the number of the punk was like 2317, and then they reversed the number around, and they made the number of obits to that specific punk. So it was like 7,132 or something like that. And I rarely even knew about it too, because the guy hit me up like 3 months ago and was like, "Oh, do you mind if I do like a derivative project of this?" I'm like, "Oh, go ahead." But I didn't really think much of it. And then like it was like I'd say a couple months ago, and then all of a sudden they had like some drop and they all sold out, and there was a whole community that was built from that. So I didn't know any of this stuff was going to go down. I just wanted to make a statement on the matter at hand, and because of that, it just kind of grew from there. And there's some people that bought the like I made like a burned punk art piece, and I made like a derivative, like a fractional derivative of that after I burned it. Like I made like an art piece with like 137 editions to kind of commemorate the event. And now a lot of people like they really cherish those things, because I guess it was a point in time that happened and this and that. And but yeah, like I said, like in the beginning, I was just making a statement on um, what I thought the CryptoPunks culture actually was, and then after the fact, there's a whole bunch of actions that took place that was beyond me, and it was cool to see. Like I congratulated the guy who did the obits. I was like, I can't believe you did this, man. He's like, oh, totally, man. He's like, and he had a blast doing it, and I guess that's another thing too about copyright zero thing, like or Creative Commons zero is like letting things go. Like I told this guy, go ahead and do it. Like didn't think much of it. And the guy makes like this whole entire PFP collection out of it. So kind of went a little far on this on this answer to the question, but yeah, no, thanks for asking.
Yeah, it's almost like it started a lot of the derivatives as well, right? Like maybe funks would have haven't even happened if it wasn't for you burning a punk. Who knows?
I don't even know. It's yeah. It's funny because Second Realm, Eric Rhodes, like
Yeah.
he always says like it was me, like, and like he did the the unofficial punks, in the beginning, like he started making like one where you can make one
Yes, of
yourself.
course. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, actually, to be honest, like as much as he says it was me, like I think it was him because um, I can't think of a derivative that was before that. I have to check, but I think Eric might be right in the money with that, and might have spurred something off with that too.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's true.
Yeah,
That's very true.
yeah.
I know we are at time. There is just one last question, if you can stay for like 5 minutes,
Oh, no problem at all. Yeah, you got it.
which is from Christian. It says, "What are your suggestions for undiscovered artists with low followers doing one-on-ones on ETH?" I think it's a great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. Um, well, if they're in this Discord, they're already doing um, the good work, which is like start, I mean, I will say start penetrating certain communities. Like Discord is probably one of the best ways. I mean, there's Telegram too, but Telegram is like OG crypto stuff. So I think a lot of the new generation of like crypto artists, man, they've all kind of ported over to Discord. Um, and basically, you start getting in these communities and start contributing and this and so forth. They'll help you out too. It's kind of like give and take kind of thing. So, I mean, focus your Twitter account, of course, and start kind of getting engaged in some conversations or whatever. What you care about. You don't feel like you gotta talk about stuff you don't want to talk about. Just talk about what you want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like get engaged in conversations you really give a shit about. Really. Um, and don't be afraid to ask questions from some of these like notable crypto artists because they're really nice people, and and sometimes they won't answer you because like for example, like for me, like I can't answer every DM I get. I try my best, um, but I mean even for me, like I tell people, I said don't feel bad sending me like a DM. Like I don't care, because I know how it is, So don't feel like ashamed to answer or ask questions from like some real notable people in the space, even like ones that are coming up too, because I think what's cool about this entire space is that like I said it like I think in a tweet yesterday. I was saying like thank God like most of us like didn't grow up with, or didn't get anywhere in the space with connections. Like Coldy, you know Coldy, myself, X Copy, everybody else, you name it, man. We've all come from different corners of the world, and we didn't have anybody. We weren't born into anything. Like for me, like I used to work Hollywood, and I used to have like this kind of like chip on my shoulder because it's like you find out like all these artists like are descendants from other like all these actors are descendants from different actors from the past. It's like, oh man, all these people were born into it. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? So so like you see that and you kind of get accustomed to that, and you feel like you're not part of the club or whatever, and so you're kind of like an outcast. And so for me, like that's kind of why I love the crypto art spaces, because all my contemporaries and people that I've kind of grown with in the space, we all come from the same kind of like lineages. Like we all were not born into this shit. Like we we were all just helping each other out. We all knew we were kind of outcasts, like former outcasts from the old world in a sense, and we kind of just stuck with each other and helped build each other. And the same applies for new people coming in, and I'm starting to see like new communities getting built too, which I love to see, like for example, like after that Beeple sale, like it got really crazy because like shoot, almost every digital artist on the planet woke up and was like, holy shit, let me check out these like this NFTs and crypto art and so forth. Um, but I kind of like permeated the Clubhouse space for a little bit because Clubhouse was like the perfect ground for. It was just like a perfect storm. Like everybody could go there and like get their 101s on like how the hell do I do this crypto art shit and this and that. But I was like kind of jumping around the rooms a little bit, and I started finding like there were certain communities being built and their own communities, and they started having their own voices and stuff. For example, like Food Mask U and like Brain Pasta and all these other like artists and stuff like David Gersh, all these personalities, they all started forming their own communities and so forth. So but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going off in the weeds, but I'd say, just find communities that you really kind of vibe with and just get in there, and just see what they're about and see what they're doing, and meanwhile work your Twitter up while you're doing the same thing, because you can use that as kind of like leverage too. It's like you go into like a Discord community and you start really working that, and they start finding your Twitter account, then they follow you, and it's kind of like a feedback loop. So yeah, don't be shy about getting into more Discord communities too. Trying to think what else. Yeah, don't be afraid to DM some artists though. I'm telling you, don't be afraid. You'd be surprised that you might get an answer back. So.
Awesome. Rob, thank you so much. It's always a massive, massive pleasure. Thank you for sharing this hour with us. It was great.
Oh no, thank you guys for
It's
even
also a
listening to me.
chance
So
for me to like to talk with you as well, which I love.
yeah, almost definitely. Yeah, no, pleasure's all mine. And if you can take any of the information I'm giving out as good info, that makes me happy. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone.
All right, I'll see you guys. See you next
Bye-bye.
time. Bye.